Manchester, New York, September 21st, 1823. As he settles into bed, a 17-year-old farmhand named Joseph Smith begins to say his prayers. Suddenly, without warning, an overpowering light envelops his room, and a robed figure appears. According to Smith's account, not only was his robe exceedingly white, but his whole person looked glorious beyond description. Speaking from the center of the light, the angel, named as Moroni, sends Smith on a quest for several sacred texts hidden near a local tree.
On locating the tree, Joseph dug and indeed found the texts, but they recorded a language which he could not read. A second visitation from Moroni told Joseph Smith where he could find what we might call a device of some kind that would allow him to read the text.
Joseph Smith was given this translating stone, the Urim and Thummim, with which he was able to not only write down this text, also to be able to translate it.
He then translated the texts into English, which became, and it depicts, among other things, that after Jesus ascended into heaven, he came to the Americas and ministered to the native peoples here, to convert them to his way of life, and that at some point the texts that become the Book of Mormon are deposited here so that Joseph Smith could find them.
7 years later, Smith publishes these texts as part of the Book of Mormon, establishing a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The denomination with more than 15 million followers today. Many religions worldwide have been founded with the help of angels. Whether they're representatives of Christian, Muslim, or Buddhist gods, these apparitions are thought to be a way that gods intervene on Earth with humans.
Angels, when they appear in religious legends and in myths, generally are messengers between the heavenly realm and the human world.
Throughout the Bible, we have stories of angels and demons appearing to mankind. Paul says that you be careful how you entertain strangers, because some of you will entertain angels already. The Bible is very clear that angels can take on human form and appear in the likeness of man.
But ancient astronaut theorists suggest that sometimes these heavenly visions and apparitions may not actually be angels sent by an omniscient God. And curiously, the so-called angel that led Joseph Smith to the sacred texts to become the Book of Mormon did not profess to have heavenly origins, claimed to be from another part of the universe.
Now, Moroni did not say that he was an angel. He said that at one time he had lived on Earth, but that now he came from the Pleiades star cluster. He said there were many others like him. When we look at the background of the Book of Mormon, we see some very interesting parallels to what could be an extraterrestrial tale. This angel Moroni that appears to Joseph Smith seems to be more than just chance. It's very possible that Joseph Smith was interacting with a type of extraterrestrial. These extraterrestrials may be giving these messages to world leaders, to prophets and seers and mystics to let us know that we are the product of an extraterrestrial interbreeding and an ongoing contact with these other people who were not Mormon. We have lost touch with that history only because we refuse to believe the truth that is recorded in our historical books. See what's right in front of our faces, even now, with the encounters that are happening in the modern world.
Israel. to Bible texts, it was here, in the 9th century BC, that the prophet Elijah reportedly had several encounters with both angels and God, during which he was given prophetic warnings, drought, and cataclysm.
One of the most important prophets in Israelite religion, of course, is Elijah. Elijah predicts some rough things coming, and of course they do.
He warns of a drought that's going to devastate Israel and cause all this invasion. He also is insane because he was never known to have daughters. And I saw that in some ways, he was taken into space and lives for eternity. In Elijah's final encounter with God, written in the second book of Kings, the prophet goes up in a whirlwind by what's described in the Hebrew Bible as a fiery horse-drawn chariot.
There's a story in King about Elijah who reported seeing this strange aerial phenomena that was described variously as sort of bright, whirlwind-like, cloud lit up, clearly some sort of object in the sky. Elijah's experience details a spinning object or a spinning beam that came up into the object. You see a whirlwind that came over him and a chariot of fire. So the question is, was it a chariot of fire that was spinning, or was it a beam that came down and took him out?
For the faithful, this extraordinary event is believed to be a religious miracle. But could Elijah have been chosen by heavenly beings to fulfill otherworldly purpose, as ancient astronomical tables contend?
One thing that many people don't realize is that the first story we read about Elijah doesn't talk about that he was taken up there with horses, but just by that fiery chariot that initially was described like a fiery furnace. Now, what's a fiery furnace?
Could the fire be some sort of engine? When he's taken up in a whirlwind, you only have to look at, for example, when the space shuttle takes to the skies. You have this rumbling, roaring, jet flames, etc., etc. If you look at it in that context, you could really place this into a UFO category.
When you look at Elijah, there's a nuts and bolts craft there, fiery chariot, and they get inside it. They meet these beings, which are luminous beings, that talk to them, instruct them.
It's important to realize that the biblical religion is an extraterrestrial religion, meaning that God is not from Earth. We learn this in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Extraterrestrial help is sent to Earth to help humanity in the quest to do God's will.
Was Elijah really a man chosen by otherworldly beings to help him steer the course of humanity? And if so, might this help explain biblical encounters between God and mankind? Manchester, New York, March 1830. 24-year-old visionary Joseph Smith Jr. publishes the Book of Mormon and creates the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a religious movement with more than 14 million followers today. Incredibly, the Book of Mormon includes Joseph Smith's personal accounts of his interaction with a otherworldly being. Joseph Smith had something like a vision. He wrote that an angel appeared to him, the angel had the name Moroni. This angel appeared 3 times and told Joseph Smith he should go to a certain little hill, he should put a stone plate away, and inside he would find a cave, and in the cave he would find unknown writings. He showed Joseph Smith the location of the buried these golden plates with a message from someplace else. new revelation, a new book of the Bible. He explained that he had come from the star system Pleiades, and so the source of is extraterrestrial.
Smith actually describes several different cases where he appears to be with this extraterrestrial Moroni. We really have to wonder if these aren't just mythological explanations or physical events that actually took place.
Joseph Smith is interesting because he meets mythical beings. The story of Smith is to some extent unique in the sense that obviously religion was created based on what he encountered.
However, which way you want to look at this, whether it's flesh and blood alien or an actual angel, they're both extraterrestrial, so there's no question about that. They misunderstood those visits as being angelic in nature, when in reality, they were visited by physical space travelers. Mount Sinai, the 15th century BC. According to the Bible's Book of Exodus, we were at a peak of this holy mountain that Moses met with God. But ancient astronaut theorists believe Moses' encounter may have been with a different kind of a worldly entity. There's an interesting legend passed down from temple times and so on, that when Moses ascended to Mount Sinai to speak with God, a cloud came down from heaven and told Moses to come into the cloud with some in the cloud, and Moses walked in and closed behind him and he ascended. The Lord descends, smoke, fire, loud noise, rumbling and so on. All religions speak about the same thing. They use different names, but the stories change. The basic stories are always the same. Somebody descended with loud noise, smoke, fire. The humans did not understand what it was. They misinterpreted and believed that this was God or the gods. It's just a misinterpretation. I am absolutely sure there's no doubt that we were visited by beings from outer space. According to ancient astronaut theorists, such accounts of unearthly encounters can be found in every major religion, including Islam, where the angel Gabriel, also known as Jibreel, was said to be the intermediary between the Prophet Muhammad and the Muslim god Allah.
Jibril normally would come and dispense wisdom to Muhammad inside this cave that he was dwelling in. But on 2 occasions, Muhammad did not meet Jibril in the cave in person. Muhammad went outside the cave, and it was at this time that something absolutely fantastic happened. What did Muhammad see when he went outside the cave? The records show that there was a magnificent shining object there in front of him. It was said to have 600 wings, and it was burning as if it was on fire. What do we know of in modern times that could add up to something? It's obvious. Craft that would be hovering there in front of him, giving off brilliant white light that he interpreted as fire. And when he went out and saw this magnificent shining object, the same wisdom that he was getting from Jibril was imparted to him, though he could not see any being. He only could see this object.
Jebel Qashem Tarif, Egypt. This mountain rising out of the Sinai Desert is believed by some to be the site of 2 of history's most important divine encounters. The peak where the biblical patriarch Moses encountered burning bush. And the place where Moses later received the 10 Commandments from God. But what was the true nature of Moses' divine encounter? Was he a normal human, randomly chosen to deliver the Word of God? Or did he possess a special gift, an inherent ability to communicate with otherworldly forces? Mystical literature from all over the world, accounts of visitations from angels, gods, some kind of supernatural creatures that interact and interfere possess some powers beyond our understanding.
We see this in the Bible with Moses. He is just one of several examples of leaders who are guided by divine guidance, who really are getting the help of the gods into getting to their goal.
In addition to stories of the prophet Moses, the Hebrew and Christian Testaments also feature similar accounts of numerous other prophets, including Elijah, Isaiah, Noah, Abraham, Enoch, and Jesus.
Prophets are a major element in almost all ancient societies. These were people who functioned sort of as liaisons between the mortal world and the immortal world, between the gods and the humans. They have a message, which is a communication from God. What's very interesting about that, it's not just a message. The presence of God is felt to be in the words of the prophet himself. So the one who hears the prophet encountering the presence of God and not just a message from God. So if you have a prophet who is an authority figure in your community and he says, this God is upset about this, you need to do X, Y, or Z to placate this god or goddess, you did it.
But is the source of these prophetic messages truly the divine nature? According to ancient astronaut theorists, there is perhaps another possible explanation as to who or what may have been contacting these prophets of the ancient past.
What we're beginning to realize is that this is not religious, that these are people who have had anomalous experiences with entities, and that this is contact with non-human intelligence.
Prophets and prophecies are evidence that these higher beings are instructing us to help create civilization, for us to move forward, and even give us some warning of the future. This is what's going to happen. You need to get ready.
Is it really possible extraterrestrial beings made contact with the ancient prophets? Perhaps the answers can be found by looking further into the story of Moses. It was written more than 3,000 years ago and chronicled in the Hebrew Testament's book of Exodus.
Moses' first encounter with God occurs in the third chapter of Exodus. Moses encounters a burning bush. God speaks to him out of a burning bush. And Moses is given a mission, and the mission is to liberate the Hebrews who entered in. The idea of the burning bush is very interesting to me because things like burning bushes really don't exist, especially if they all of a sudden give instructions. So we have to ask ourselves, what did our ancestor describe? And so the burning bush idea could have been a technological creation, which Moses described as a burning bush.
India. Over 1.1 billion people crowd its modern cities and rural townships, speaking hundreds of languages and practicing a number of different religions. India is considered one of the oldest civilizations, with settlements dating back for 11,000 years. It is also home to several of the oldest records of ancient technologies. Ancient Sanskrit texts dating back as far as 6000 BC describe in varying but vivid detail flying machines called vimanas.
Vimanas are aeroplanes, and they are powered by some jet engines. This seems to be true because all the description of the flight behavior, elephants ran away in panic. Grass was thrown out because there was a lot of pressure from behind those vimanas. So that we can say this is a description of the spaceship.
Although mainstream historians believe Vimana texts and myths, many of the documents contain passages that seem to describe modern machinery and technology.
The Vimanika Shastra goes into metals that are used in these craft,
It talks about electricity and power sources. It talks about the pilots and the clothing they have to wear. It talks about the food that they eat. It talks even about the weapons that are kept on these airships. The flight manuals of the Vimanas are quite similar to the flight manuals you find in the modern passenger flight business or when you go to the military jet engines, because they have also flight manuals because it's necessary for a pilot to get knowledge about his plane he wanted to fly with.
We also learned that these Vimanas could be controlled mentally. And this is a technology that modern militaries are beginning to develop.
Even today, with as advanced as we are, almost every manifestation of an actual extraterrestrial civilization today would look almost like magic to us, or it has to do with logical or electromagnetic systems that interface with coherence and organized thought. This gets into the people that listen that you're losing me here, but I tell people, I said, yeah, well, you gotta push your boundaries a little bit if you're talking about a true interstellar civilization. Vimanica Shastra suggests Vimanas were powered by several gyroscopes placed inside a sea of liquid mercury vortex.
Here's an example of a little kid's gyroscope. You spin it with a heavy wheel around a central axis. Well, a gyroscope seems to do a lot of strange things, even defy gravity. And it does this because it uses what's called rotational or angular momentum. And it wants to keep a particular orientation on its spin axis, the center rod. If you push on that rod, it will want to righten itself up to its original orientation. It wants to keep that same angular momentum. Gyroscopes are used all over the place, in airplanes, in spacecraft, in submarines. This allows them to determine their position based on where they started. You can also use it for finding their velocity or even just the orientation of the vehicle in space. One of the texts talks about Mercury rotating and driving some sort of a powerful wind or windmill effect. That might be some sort of what we call a flywheel energy storage, where you have a spinning disk and then you extract energy from it slowly. That would be the mercury. And then that would be used to drive some sort of a propeller, or we'll call it fan sort of system, like you have in a hovercraft. Mercury would be quite good for that because it's a high density, so you'd have a small package for your power plant.
How are these civilizations traveling faster than the speed of light is a fundamental question. It's a scientific application of things that have been studied for thousands of years and that are within the Vedas. The foundation of Hinduism is carefully preserved in India's most ancient texts. And according to their traditions, these texts are accounts given directly by the gods themselves, and only transcribed by humans. This collection includes the Vedas, or Hindu scriptures, as well as other manuscripts written in the early Sanskrit language. Vedic scholars suggest knowledge pertaining to architecture, science, technology, weaponry, and medicine are preserved in meticulous detail in these works.
Origins of the Vedic text goes back to cosmic. They have been around for thousands of years. It is believed that the knowledge came directly from gods. We are seeing a handbook of the gods. We are looking at an endowment from some superior intelligence that appears to have been given to us as a very practical guide in ways that benefit humankind all across the board.
Sirpur, India, the Sarang Shila Temple. This structure, which dates back to the 7th century AD, was recently unearthed after being buried by a powerful earthquake that occurred in the 11th century. Although the rest of the area was completely leveled, the structure itself remained largely intact. Archaeologists suggest that this is due to the advanced construction techniques known as Ayurvedic or Vedic architecture utilized by its builders. The principles they used are derived from the ancient science of design that can be traced back to the ancient Indian texts. In March 2017, researcher and ancient astronaut theorist Georgios Tsoukalos traveled to India to meet with archaeologist Dr. Arun Sharma, who headed the dig. This is beautiful.
These are the steps. These steps, they are not still. Who are? This is the effect of earthquake that happened here in 11th century AD. But the rest of the township totally destroyed.
Really? Now, is this considered Ayurvedic architecture right here?
Yes, Ayurvedic architecture. The temple is built of heavy stone and joined by Ayurvedic paste, which is so strong that even after 1600 years, it is not dead.
That's amazing. Huh.
Now I will show you original mortar places.
Okay. Although much of the site has been renovated using modern concrete, blocks held together by the Ayurvedic paste can still be found.
Yo, you see, there is no gap. So here Ayurvedic paste was applied.
It seems to be almost like some type of glue.
Ah yes, it is a glue. They have not moved from their place. It is such a firm joining. If you want to make it live long, you follow the ancient pattern, not the cement. Cement has got the life of 70 years.
The glue-like substance is said to form a bond that is at least 20 times stronger than concrete. But modern builders have been unwilling to entertain the notion that such an ancient concoction would be superior to today's building materials. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. The detailed instructions for making this paste can be found in an ancient Indian text known as the Maya Mantra, dedicated to construction techniques. The information contained within the document is understood to have been passed down to humans in Mayasura, the ancient king of demigods, who was sent to oversee various construction projects on Earth, including cities in the sky.
Now we are in front of one sanctum sanctorum. And just at the entry point, here is the slit.
Curiously, there is a more astounding earthquake-proof feature at the site, which indicates that advanced knowledge was used in its construction. Located at key points within the Sarang Kila temple are several 80-foot-long shafts designed to form air pockets that can dissipate the impact of seismic events.
The book in which all this is described, I will show you.
Please.
This is the book.
All right.
It is in 2 volumes.
Wow.
2 volumes. Every detail is given.
Oh wow, this is big. It's a huge book.
And this text has been around for 4,500 years.
Which traveled from mouth to mouth. When the writing started, then it was written down.
In your opinion, where did this knowledge come from?
Those who are more advanced in other planets used to visit the earth, and I think they must have given some knowledge to the local people.
You think that this knowledge originated from the stars?
I think there was a part played by these aliens.
It's amazing. Ethiopia. Flowing south 400 miles into Lake Turkana. Banks of this river are rich in hominid fossil fragments, including those of chimpanzees, gorillas, and early humanoids. Here in 1967, paleoanthropologist Richard Leakey unearthed 2 partial human skulls. The remains date as far back as 195,000 years ago, making the fossils the oldest evidence of modern humans, or Homo sapiens.
We are constantly still finding new breakthroughs and either more complete skeletons or a more complete site. We look at the fossil record, and at some point eventually you find common ancestors from chimpanzees, you're really close and you have Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon man. We came out of Cro-Magnon man, and the Neanderthals die out. And it's really interesting mystery to try and piece together why were we more successful than they were.
We are the only one who came out of the family tree with culture. Why? Evolution says by coincidence. We have adapted this best. I say no, it was an artificial mutation made out of the family tree. Then overnight we were building pyramids, Sumeria was created. All those different high achievements were done virtually overnight. So this quantum leap in development, this big bang of knowledge or intelligence, all of a sudden happened. The ancient astronaut theory suggests that this is a direct result of extraterrestrials tampering with our DNA. So we're half human and half extraterrestrial. We're hybrids.
We have an incredible wealth of information in stone, preserved from ancient times, that can lead us in a direction of really knowing that the ancient ancestors of modern humans were not simply born on Earth, but came here from somewhere else.
But if extraterrestrials arrived here in the distant past, who were they? And why did they come here? Ancient astronaut theorists believe answers exist in early Sumerian texts. In 1849, British archaeologist Austin Henry Layard discovered 22,000 clay tablets in the ancient Sumerian city Nineveh, in an area now known as Iraq. The tablets contain cuneiform script, believed to be the earliest writing system, created by the Sumerians 6,000 years ago. Author Zecharia Sitchin spent more than 30 years translating the Sumerian clay tablets. In his 1976 book, The 12th Planet, Sitchin claims the cuneiform texts describe an alien race named the Anunnaki, who came to Earth from an undiscovered planet in our solar system, beyond Neptune, called Nibiru. They explained to the Sumerians that through their own rise to a technological culture, they damaged their atmosphere. And they came here seeking gold and precious elements to repair their planet's dwindling atmosphere. According to Sitchin, Anunnaki first visited Earth 450,000 years ago, during the age of Neanderthals. And they created Homo sapiens in 1929. To create a species to work and mine precious minerals for them. Our forefathers believed that they were gods. And they were here with purpose. They wanted to make our primitive generation at that time intelligence. They wanted to plant curiosity in our brain. We become more developed in technology, astronomy, every field. That's what they wanted. The question is, why?
When you look at the ancient creation stories, you find that what they said about our position as Homo sapiens is that we were created to be a slave race or a work race.
According to Sitchin's interpretation of the ancient tablets, the human civilization in Sumer was set up under the guidance of the Anunnaki. And to disguise alien manipulation, human kings were inaugurated to provide intermediaries between mankind, so-called gods. Then, around 3000 BC, humans began building stone monuments, such as Stonehenge. mainstream historians, the physical ability and know-how to construct these megalithic sites remains a mystery. But ancient astronaut theorists contend that megaton stone monuments were erected by human laborers, aided with alien technology. And what do the ancient texts say about ancient Sumeria? Well, none of this could have been possible without the help of the gods, or in their case, the Anunnaki, which means those who from the heavens came.
Many cultures had a time when they interacted with their living gods. Well, who were those gods? In my mind, they were misrepresented, advanced extraterrestrials, and they brought forth the technology to build the monuments we see, such as Giza, or all across Bolivia, Peru, and South America.
The Hebrew Bible, the book of Exodus, describes how the Jewish people suffered as slaves living in Egypt. Then sometime in the 14th century BC, the ruling pharaoh feared their growing numbers and ordered the killing of all firstborn Jews in an effort to save her son, one mother put her child in a small basket and set him adrift on the Nile River. That child was found by the pharaoh's family and named him Moses and raised him as their own. As an adult, Moses discovered his true identity and demanded that Pharaoh free the Jews. When the Pharaoh rejected him, Moses helped the Jews escape from Egypt. Historians believe that Moses and his people crossed the Red Sea and made their way into the Sinai Desert. According to the ancient texts, God grew angry at the Jews for idol worshipping and forced them to wander the desert aimlessly for 40 years before allowing them to conquer Israel. During this time, the Bible says the Israelites survived by eating a single food source, manna. What is manna? Naturally abundant food provided by God? Or as some believe, something very different?
In the Bible, it explains how the Israelites got from Egypt, where they'd been slaves, to the Promised Land, then across the Sinai Desert. And inevitably, given that there was a lot of Israelites and very little growing as it was a desert, they ran short on supplies. God stepped in at this point and sent manna from heaven. This took the form of some kind of seeds that rained down upon the desert, and then they were collected the next day, and it provided food for the Israelites, except Friday, when there was a double portion, from Saturday being the Sabbath that didn't fall.
While the Hebrew Bible fails to give a clear description of manna, another ancient Jewish text provides an alternative clue. The Zohar is a collection of spiritual commentaries and interpretations of the Torah, and is central to the mystical Kabbalah belief written in the 13th century. The Zohar describes what is called Ancient of Days as providing the manna. What was this Ancient of Days? Man, God, or something else? The text speaks of different-sized grains, different-sized faces connected with different tubes and different light sources. Theologians have suggested that this is a description of God. However, when looked at from a modern perspective, what is described in the Zohar isn't necessarily a God figure, but rather a type of machine. Intrigued by this information, two electrical engineers, George Sassoon and Rodney Daly, used the anatomical descriptions of the Ancient of Days to design what they called a manna machine.
This really is the key diagram of the manna machine as we built it up from the texts. For instance, one here is the mouth, but it's actually the air intake, which carries what is described as the breath of life. The air goes up this tube here, which is
described as the brain of the Ancient One, but is actually a dew still. So that although we were talking about the great sea and the hairs of the beard and so on, at the same time we were able to work out their relative positions, build up the specification of the machine, and find that we had something that was biochemically viable.
Diese Maschine hatte einen Ansaugstutzen.
The machine took in moist morning air and condensed it in the part of the machine that looked like a plexiglass dome. From there, it mixed with an algae culture. Culture was treated with energy, such as strong laser light, in order to speed the growth.
Das Eigenwachstum beschleunigt.
Of course, it needed energy for cultivating the alga, and this was produced, we postulate, in a small nuclear reactor which would produce both heat and light as required.
Die Mana-Maschine war wahrscheinlich.
The mana machine was a very dangerous device. We suspect that the reactor that powered the machine was transported to the Covenant.
We have multiple references in the Bible that whoever came close to the Ark of the Covenant and didn't know how to operate it was smitten to death. And sometimes people, after they encountered the Ark, started to lose their nails and started to lose their hair. So we have evidence of some type of radiation poisoning which was in direct correlation with the Ark of the Covenant. And so the Ark of the Covenant housed an extraterrestrial device that was given to the Israelites during their 40-year wandering through the desert. In the early morning hours of November 5th, 2005, the luxury cruise ship, the Seabourn Spirit, found itself under attack by pirates in the waters off the coast of Somalia. But the Somali bandits were successfully repelled by a relatively new and formidable defensive weapon, Long-Range Acoustic Device, or LRAD. Manufactured by the LRAD Corporation, this sonic device can, when focused on a target, produce piercing sound that can exceed 150 decibels, enough to cause temporary blindness, nausea, and permanent hearing loss. The U.S. Army used sonic weapons in Iraq. They're used in crowd control. There's certain types of low rumbles and signals that will affect a person. They make you feel sick. The LRAD is currently used by law enforcement, military, and private security, and is considered the ultimate in sonic weaponry. But is the LRAD really a 21st century invention? Or is there evidence that similar audio weapons existed in ancient times? Approximately 17 miles northeast of Jerusalem lies the ancient ruins of the city of Jericho. Here, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of settlements dating back to 9000 BC. According to the Hebrew Bible, Jericho is believed to be where God spoke to Joshua, successor to Moses, and instructed him to march around the walled city once every 6 days with 7 priests carrying ram's horns, and followed by the Ark of the Covenant, a golden chest containing the 10 Commandments. Then, on the 7th day, under orders by God, Joshua and the Israelites marched around the perimeter of the city one last time. But this time, they blew the ram's horns. The walls of Jericho fell, and the city was sacked.
In the Old Testament, you see very clear descriptions in Joshua 6 about the shofar, which is described as a trumpet that was used in the Battle of Jericho to actually bring the walls down.
To religious scholars, the collapse of Jericho's walls was a miracle. To most modern-day scientists and historians, the destruction was probably caused by an earthquake. But could it have been something else? Could the Israelites have possessed advanced sound wave technology? If so, where did it come from? In the scriptures, we have a fascinating story about the fall of the walls of Jericho. Armies were told to circle the wall repeatedly and then finally blow their horns and down came the walls. And we know there was a powerful presence in the covenant. This mysterious sacred item was with them at all times, which of course was part of the event and part of the fall of the walls of Jericho.
The idea that some kind of sonic weapon was used to destroy these huge, thick, ancient walls to allow the Israelites to basically take over that city is a fascinating one. So what kind of technology were they using? It sounds utterly fantastic to us that they could have had some kind of advanced alien technology. It's clearly what they're describing.
There is little doubt that the Ark of the Covenant was a weapon. It was described as a weapon. Famously, when the Israelites crossed over into Canaan, they had to pass by Jericho. And it could be that there was some technology. We do not know what that technology was, but there was clearly association between the Ark and the falling down of the walls. And that's the reason that the Ark was centered around the periphery of the city. According to many ancient astronaut theorists, Moses and the Israelites acquired a supernatural source of energy at Mount Sinai. This powerful energy source was later contained in the Ark of the Covenant and would have provided the kind of power necessary to amplify Joshua's horns and make them into a powerful sonic weapon.
What's interesting about the Battle of Jericho is that this particular use of the shofar clearly seems to be the same thing that we're seeing with particle beam technology, death ray technology, thunderbolt technology. It very clearly seems that once again we have an extraterrestrial technology that the ancient people had at the ready they could use when needed for military campaigns.
The Andes Mountains, Peru. Here, 12 miles north of Puno, lie the murky waters of Lake Titicaca, the largest lake in South America. According to local legends, the god Viracocha rose from the depths of this lake to create the sun, the stars, and mankind.
Legend states Viracocha, great the Inca and the prehistoric civilization of the area emerged from Lake Titicaca. He went to another or civilization for that part of the world. He then went to Pumapunka, and this is where he said he made men and women from stone, took them to the four corners of the earth, to spread the seed. The Spanish conqueror asked the Inca people living there, including king of the Inca, what is this Pumapunku? And they all said, it's not us, it's not our forefather who made this. This was made by the gods in one single night. Usually, king is proud about what his people did, about precision and so on. In that case, chief, the people said, no, it was not us. It was the gods who made it. One of the legends of Pumapunku states that it was built by a race of giants in one night. A great cataclysmic flood had destroyed the whole area. What's really interesting is that who were these giants? Where did they come from? Did Viracocha and his band of followers? Or was it some other beings from some other place? One of the earliest chronicles that we have in regards to Pumapunku
talks about that these giant platforms were moved through the air by the sound of a trumpet. They basically floated into place. So do we have some type of sound technology here? And the answer is a potential yes. Might the legends of giants in stones floating through the air have been inspired by some sort of mysterious events in the distant past? Or were they the result of alien beings visiting Earth in prehistoric times, as ancient astronaut theorists believe? And it's speculation. It's not rest yet alive. The spaceship stands in orbit. Only a smaller space vehicle comes down like a spaceship. So, just to protect their instrument, they load overnight with their technology, what we call base camp. Of course, made out of stones found on Earth, because you don't transport granite or meteorite from another solar system. But then they disappear. But the wall of their base camp is still there. Now the natives come. They see these ruins. They touch it with their fingers. They say, look, this is so smooth, it's so sharp. The gods did it. The place becomes a holy place. Now the natives start to construct temples, altars in honor of the gods. So you have two technologies. One was an extraterrestrial technology, and the other with the humans, their altars and their temples. Luxor, Egypt. Here, along the east bank of the Nile River, lie the archaeological remains of the vast Karnak temple complex, dating to the 32nd century BC. With its numerous structures, including great halls, obelisks, and an avenue of sphinxes, Karnak represents the combined achievement of many generations of Egypt's ancient builders.
When one travels to Luxor and gazes upon the Karnak temple, you see large pillars, oversized obelisks, and what's very amazing about this area is that it's one of the few places where over 30 pharaohs contributed to its sheer size and wealth of knowledge over a vast period of time.
For centuries, archaeologists and scholars have considered Karnak to be one of the most dramatic examples of the remarkable technological ability of early man. The construction techniques used in building these incredible monuments reveal evidence of something more, something not of this earth.
When we start looking at hieroglyphs, we are amazed as to how beautiful and how carefully they have been carved. Technology which we see is clearly of a perfection which is beautiful and almost makes our heart cry whenever you come face to face with it.
Experts believe the most impressive evidence of advanced machining can be found on Karnak's tall, four-sided tapering monuments called obelisks.
The obelisk is carved with the same inscriptions on four sides, and they're all exactly the same, and they're beautifully cut and articulated hieroglyphs into this red granite stone. We would look at today and say it had to be some sort of machine that carved these things out. For example, there were slots, only 1/4 inches wide, half-inch deep. If you look inside, you can see the bottom of them were made by a rotating tool. So this was a tool that punched in, came out, stepped down, punched in, came out. The human hand, no matter how good you are, can never do that. Tool marks themselves, the precision, the depth, the rotating impressions that were made, not done by hand. Some of those were so precisely engraved to require machine tools to do it. The toolkit that we see the ancient Egyptians were supposed to use, there's no way that any of those tools could produce the results that we saw.
To many scholars, the apparent precision used in the construction of the obelisks at Karnak suggests 21st century level expertise.
Precision is what our civilization is built on. To craft something to within 2/10,000ths of an inch or 1,000ths of an inch is quite common today because that tolerance or that precision is necessary and it has a purpose.
But how can we explain such precision in ancient construction? If you look at the Ramses statue, it is so perfect that you wonder how this was even done with allegedly primitive tools. Because today, we could only do this with machines.
So the way we check the symmetry of the Ramses statue is to take two images, the same photograph, make transparencies, and compare the left to the right. Flip it over, bring it over the original, and as we can see, we have perfect match. The ancient Egyptians were very skilled at working granite. I cannot see how they could have created what they created with the tools that are commonly accepted to have been in the ancient Egyptian school bones, such as copper chisels and stone chisels, wooden mallets, stone balls.
What if, as many historians and archaeologists contend, the ancient builders did not possess the equivalent of modern tools? How were these monuments built with such mathematical precision? Perhaps the answer can be found comparing an example of ancient sculpture with one made by more modern methods.
We can compare the aluminum model face machine, the striation coming down the face, with striation coming down the face of statue of Karnak in Egypt. And also the tool marks, so where we see above the eyebrow, the dig-in right there, where it kind of shows us what kind of tools or the shape of the tools that they use. So the elements that bring this machining to ancient statue are not just the symmetry, but also the geometry, precision, and the tool marks. And we have all three elements in modern machining and ancient statuary. It's an enormously difficult thing to do by hand without introducing some mechanical assistance. Seems to me to be
If the tool marks seen on the Ramses statue appear identical to those made by modern methods, wouldn't it prove that the ancient builders had access to machines, and perhaps even electricity?
They allegedly did not have electricity, power tools. Supposedly they didn't have diamond saws. Yet, they're doing things that would require precision work, precision tools. So where did they get those things? How could they have had these advanced machining tools that we've only just acquired ourselves today in our civilization? So one answer would have to be they've gotten it from ancient aliens.
In the center of the temples at Tiwanaku lie the ruins of a stone arch called the Gateway of the Sun. Cut and shaped from a single andesite stone weighing more than 10 tons, archaeologists believe the 10-foot tall, 13-foot wide megalith was once the gateway leading.
The Gateway of the Sun is probably the entrance, one of the entrances to the Kukulkan. And as such, it's very important because this is how the people of Tiwanaku conducted their ritual. funneling people through increasingly smaller gateways and stairways to more and more sacred precincts.
In the upper portion of the arch, intricate carvings can be found of nearly 50 winged beings on either side of what is believed to be the great creator god Viracocha. Interpretations of the engravings suggest they refer to a calendar describing a time as far back as 27,000 BC.
So here we are at the famous Gate of the Sun with Viracocha right in the middle holding two scepters surrounding by birdmen.
It's a common depiction in ancient societies as a man who's able to fly. That would have probably been an interpretation by the native people of someone coming from this.
Part of our idea too that some giant airship that was a factory with power tools and power saws and routers and drills just landed here and began processing these giant blocks of stone and then ultimately created Puma Puma.